Settle in. Let the room dim a little more. Let the breath come easy and slow, like a tide that never hurries. Tonight, we wander into a quiet place that remembers everything and rushes nothing. A kingdom tucked beneath a silver moon, where every heartbeat became a lullaby, and every voice softened into silence until even time decided to lie down and close its eyes. Imagine the world narrowing to the gentle glow of a single candle at your bedside. The flame leans, breathes, steadies. Outside your window, the night air is cool, and far away a dog barks once and then thinks better of it. You draw the blanket up, and the fabric whispers. Somewhere, a clock decides not to count this hour too loudly. You are ready. The road is ready. And beyond the road lies the sleeping kingdom. Or, you step onto a path that looks ordinary at first. Pebbles press softly under your feet. Along the sides, small ferns cup beads of moonlight. They glisten, but do not drip. The trees arch overhead like a chapel built from dark wood and patient leaves. The wind would like to speak, but tonight it only listens. Your footsteps make the only sound, and even that sound travels no farther than your shoulders. The night is not empty, it is full of rest. As you walk, the path widens and lowers, and you realize it is becoming a road. Wheel ruts, long since stilled, bow gently in the dirt. Once carts rolled here loaded with barley and apples, and the sweet smell of yeast from the village ovens would drift up to meet travelers. Once apprentices carried buckets of water, and milk foamed in earthen jugs, and children trotted in small tidal groups, chasing something that sparkled in dust motes. All of that is folded now, pressed like a flower into a book. It is still here. It has simply chosen to sleep. You reach a wooden sign that leans at a thoughtful angle. Its carved letters are softened by time but still readable. Welcome to Halcyon Vale. Someone once added a little crown above the V, a joke perhaps, or a prideful flourish. You touch the sign and the wood is cool, the grain raised in fine lines under your fingers, as if a careful hand had traced it again and again in farewell. The road dips into a valley where houses sit shoulder to shoulder like friends napping after a long market day. That's when you notice the first stillness that has nothing to do with the hour. The door of the baker's shop is open just enough to show the shape of loaves inside, round and brown and glazed with a shine that should have faded long ago, but has not. A wooden peel leans against the hearth, and the last curl of smoke from an age-old fire hangs in the air in the shape of a question mark, never quite deciding whether to rise or vanish. You step closer, and the warmth is faint but present, as if the embers took a breath 1,000 years ago and have not yet finished exhaling. Across the lane, a cat is mid-stretch on a windowsill, back arched, paw lifted. The curve of it is perfect, a living sculpture of comfort. Its whiskers curve forward. Its eyes are closed, or almost closed. It is hard to say. You could count each hair along the ridge of its spine if you wished. You feel no need to. Even looking at it makes your shoulders loosen a little more. You walk on. A wheelbarrow stands in the square, one handle resting on a crate of pears. The pears shine with that pale green that promises sweetness. A blush gathers at their sides. A honeybee hangs just above one as though choosing a landing place. But the wings do not blur. The hum is inside the moment, not outside it. A ribbon on the well bucket's handle flutters in a wind that paused to listen to a story and never remembered to finish the flutter. In the square's center rises a statue of the first queen, Eowyn of the river. She is carved with her hands open, palms turned toward the people rather than away, as if offering rather than raising a command. The sculptor gave her a mouth that looks ready to soften into a smile. A garland of ivy once placed around her shoulders remains glossy and green. Its leaves have not browned, nor grown, nor fallen. They balance in a single decision, stay. A bell hangs in the belfry above the chapel. It is tilted a fraction, caught between silence and peal. If you stood beneath it and listened long enough, you'd almost hear the last note of the last ring pressed thin as silver. But you do not strain. Straining belongs today. Tonight you let your breath be the only rhythm you follow. In, out. Slow as the bell's invisible sound. You pass a row of workshops. The cobbler's bench holds a shoe with a thread running from needle to sole, a stitch that is almost complete. The apothecary's shelves present blue bottles with white labels. The ink is a gentle hand's careful script. Lavender, valerian, rosemary, dreamleaf. The last one is unfamiliar, but the name feels right, like a promise made to a sleepy child. In the glass, your reflection is both present and uncommitted. You belong here only as long as you wish. And then, at the far end of the square, the road gathers itself like a ribbon and winds upward toward the hill. On that hill stands the castle, and even at this distance you can see that moonlight has chosen it the way a cat chooses a lap. It rests there, soft and complete. The towers rise like fingers of a hand that wants to touch the sky gently. The banners do not fly. They pour downward in a silken stillness, their colors deep as the inside of a well. Before you climb, you pause at the edge of a small garden. A weathered wooden fence surrounds it, and inside stand rows of cabbages, very proud, their leaves cupped like folded hands. Between them dance the pale faces of onions, the cheerful elbows of carrots still half in the earth, and a row of marigolds to keep kind company to everyone. A scarecrow watches, its hat tilted. Not quite comical, not quite solemn. A sparrow perches on its brim, tiny feet gripping the straw. The sparrow's head is turned slightly, as though listening to the same thing the wind is listening to. You stand with them a moment, three watchers in a sleeping world, and in that quiet, a story rises. It is said that Halcyon Vale did not fall asleep because of sorrow or punishment. It fell asleep because its people loved one another too well to watch each other grow old. Their kindness had become so daily and so ordinary that it wore a path through the world like a stream. The stream grew deeper. The world, which loves balance, wanted to bless their kindness in a way that matched it. So the blessing came as slumber, as rest made vast. One evening, the legend says it was the first night of harvest moon. The baker set out his final loaves. The queen unlocked the chapel door so no prayer would go unanswered. A child left her ribbon on the well for luck, and the bell rang once, just once. The note did not end. It lengthened into a night that outlived years, and the kingdom laid its head down and dreamed. You take the hill slowly. The path is cobbled with stones worn by feet that stop keeping count. On one side, a slope of lavender leans in a violet hush. The scent rises around you in calm spirals, a balm shaped like air. On the other side, cypress trees stand in a line as even as chess pieces, their pointed crowns needling the sky with no hurry. The moon sits low. It has been sitting low for a very long time. At the gate, the portcullis is raised, but only just enough for a tall person to pass without bowing. You choose to bow anyway, because some doors prefer to be entered with a little tenderness. Inside the outer ward, torches are frozen in a half flare, each flame a petal of honey light. The shadows do not flicker. They have chosen their edges and will keep them. A stable stands open. Horses doze with their heads almost but not quite drooped. The curve of a nostril holds the polish of breath. A halter's leather shines. The hay, golden and plentiful, pauses mid-fall between loft and floor, a light straw rain that never lands. You pass and it does not brush your shoulder. You step into the great hall. Long tables run the length of it, set for a feast that never began and never ended. Silver platters hold roasted apples that still shine, not with heat but with the last thought of heat. Bowls cradle almonds dusted with cinnamon. A goblet waits near the king's chair, beaded on its rim with a procession of tiny grape pearls that have not dropped. At each place setting, a folded napkin wears a sprig of rosemary and a little slip of parchment with a name. You read a few: Rowan, Mira, Tamsin, Alder. Names like trees and rivers and stars. Names that a village gives when it still remembers where it lives. By the hearth, a lute rests on a chair, one string quivering in a line too fine for the eye, as if sound were the gentlest thread and the world had decided not to tug. A dog lies nearby, an old hound with one floppy ear that just began, long ago, to flop. You kneel because it feels right to recognize a good dog when you see one. The fur is soft beneath your hand, and though it does not move, you sense that somewhere inside the dream of this place, it leans into your touch and sighs. At last you approach the dais. The royal seats are not thrones, so much as chairs anyone might borrow for a wedding toast or a winter story. The king and queen sit side by side, their hands almost touching on the armrest between them. They are younger than carved statues usually allow, and older than anyone in a hurry ever notices. The king's beard is threaded with silver you suspect existed even in his youth. The queen's hair is braided simply, as if she braided it herself while thinking of the garden. Their eyes are closed, and their faces hold the kind of peace that wears no crown. If you speak, you feel they would hear you in the way a lake hears a pebble, entirely, without ripple. Hanging above them is a tapestry, and the tapestry is the kingdom itself. It shows the river, the mill, the hill of the castle, the curve of the orchard, the square with its well and sign. It also shows a small, delicate thing that no one notices at first. A second moon stitched faintly into one corner, almost the same color as the cloth. Two moons, one bright in silver, the other pale as a breath on glass. A very old weaver, it is said, worked that second moon into the sky the night before the long sleep. Some say it is a thread-counting mistake. Some say it is a doorway. You stand beneath that tapestry and you feel the hush collect around you like a shawl. If a storyteller were here, this is where they would lower their voice and let the fire do the talking. If a bell were here, this is where it would not ring. And if a kingdom were here, and it is, this is where it would lean toward a listener with its entire weight of quiet and ask without words, "Will you walk with me a while and keep a watch?" Yes, you think. Yes. You walk to the side of the dais where a smaller door waits, half open, revealing a stair that narrows into the castle's heart. The stones of the step are smooth from use, and your foot finds their center as if you've climbed them 100 times. Up you go, around a tight spiral that makes the world turn slowly. Your hand trails the wall for company, and the coolness is steady and kind. At the next landing, a narrow window shows the valley below. The village roofs are soft squares of slate and thatch, the gardens tidy squares of green, the river a ribbon that has almost decided to laugh but is still thinking about it. From here you can see the sign by the road. You can almost read the crown above the V. Up another turn and another. A corridor opens, lined with doors. Each door bears a small painted symbol instead of a name. A sheaf of wheat, a stag, a needle and thread, a quill, a swallow, a candle. You pause at the door with the candle. It glows faintly, not the paint, but something within the wood itself, as if the candle were lit on the other side. You press your palm there and feel warmth rise like the memory of sunlight on stone. Behind that door, you sense dreams courageous enough to venture without armor. You do not open it, not yet. The kingdom is sleeping, and you have not been invited to wake anyone. This is the kind of story where watching is the point. So you breathe again, in, out. You let the corridor fill your patience, and when you step away, the glow seems a shade more golden, as if it approves. At the corridor's end is a final staircase, and at its top, a door of old oak with iron straps and a latch worn smooth by careful hands. You lift the latch. The door opens onto the highest room of the highest tower, a chamber with windows on every side. Moonlight gathers here as if it were a guest that takes off its shoes and sits cross-legged on the rug. In the center stands a table, and on the table, a book rests open. You approach and see that the pages are not paper at all, but something like pressed petals, something like woven river light. The script is delicate, each letter curled like a fern. You recognize no words, and yet you understand everything it says. It tells the story of a bell that rang once, and of a note that lengthened, and of a kindness so daily that it became a road. It tells of a second moon embroidered so faintly it looks like a mistake, and of a door that is not a door, and of a listener who came on a night when the world needed gentleness, and found a kingdom that had been practicing gentleness for 1,000 years. It tells you this: nothing here is lost. Nothing here is trapped. Everything is resting until it remembers what it is to wake with love. You close the book without closing it, the way you close your eyes without ending your seeing. The room holds the breath of the whole country. The rafters keep it safe. You turn slowly, looking out each window. North is the forest, tall and patient. East is the river, curved like the first letter of a lullaby. South is the valley, lined with fields and fences, and a road that knows how to lead you home. West is the sky, where the pale second moon waits like a comma in a sentence that has not finished. The kingdom sleeps. You keep watch. Your heart for a moment beats in time with a bell that does not strike and a river that does not run. It is enough. More than enough. Let your shoulders soften. Let the breath spill slowly. We will stay here together, and when you are ready, we will follow the quiet deeper to the day the bell was rung and the night chose to stay. Long before you walked its silent roads, Halcyon Vale was alive with sound. The air shimmered with music and chatter, the weight of the harvest, the promises of winter feasts. But the night the kingdom laid down to dream, everything moved with a gentleness that almost felt rehearsed, as though the people knew without being told. Picture the sun sliding low behind the hills. It left behind a sky of honey gold that cooled into deep rose and then into velvet indigo. Torches sparked to life along the lanes. The baker set his last trays on the counter, warm crust glistening under brushed egg. A child tugged her mother's sleeve and whispered, "Can I leave a ribbon on the well? For luck." The mother smiled, tied the ribbon carefully, and kissed the girl's brow. Across the square, the cobbler bent over a half-mended boot, one last stitch waiting in his thread. His wife called to him from the door, her voice low, almost secret. "Come eat, love, the night is here." He meant to answer, but the stitch lingered mid-air, and her words stretched into silence that became part of the quiet tapestry. The chapel bells were polished that morning, their metal bright as river water. As dusk deepened, the queen herself opened the chapel doors, leaving them wide. She wanted no soul to feel barred from prayer. Her hands lingered on the wood, cool beneath her fingers, as though the door itself were sighing. And then the bell rang. Only once, a single patient strike. It rolled through the valley like a hand smoothing the wrinkles of a sheet. It did not echo, it simply lengthened, a note too full to end. Birds on the eaves tilted their heads and did not finish their songs. The blacksmith paused mid-swing, hammer high, the red glow of the forge frozen in the pupil of his eye. A farmer stopped with his scythe in the tall grass, the blades leaning as though bowing in greeting. The sound was not loud. It was not commanding. It was more like a lullaby sung too softly to be caught in words. And yet it reached every ear, every chest, every thought. One by one, people leaned into it as into a pillow. They did not fall, nor collapse, nor clutch at one another in fear. They simply closed their eyes. Their bodies rested as if they had been waiting for this moment, all their lives, to be told it was safe enough to sleep. In the palace, the king and queen sit side by side, hands almost touching. The queen whispered, just before her lids lowered, "So we rest together." The king exhaled, a sound like leaves brushing stone, and nodded once. And the kingdom answered. The markets hushed, the wells stilled, the rivers quieted. Cats curled mid-stretch. Dogs lay down with ears folded, as though to dream beside their masters. Horses leaned against their stalls. Even the bees returned to their hives and held still, wings folded neatly, as if remembering some older order than work. Above it all, the moon lowered itself as close as it could come, pouring its silver across the castle roof like a blanket, and stitched faintly into the night sky beside it. A second pale moon glimmered once and then steadied, so dim that only the patient eye could catch it. Some swore it had never been there before. Others said it had always been watching. And then, silence. A silence not empty, but full of a promise. Sleep and be kept. Sleep and be remembered. Sleep and be whole until it is time again. The night held them, and for 1,000 years, it never let go. The road winds deeper into the valley, and as you follow it, the hush grows heavier. Not oppressive, not frightening, but soft, like a quilt pulled higher over your shoulders. The air here feels different. It isn't just quiet. It has weight, a substance, as though dreams themselves have condensed into mist and wrapped around your ankles. Everywhere you look, life is paused. To your left, a row of cottages with painted shutters leans over the lane. Their windows glow faintly, firelight caught behind glass, flames frozen in mid-flicker. On one windowsill, a pot of daisies leans toward the warmth, their petals stretched open and never closing. You can almost hear the whisper of laughter inside, someone's joke still caught in the air, the corners of a mouth curled into a smile that hasn't quite finished. Farther along, you find the market square. Stalls are laden with fruit that will never spoil. Apples gleam, their skins taut with a perfect shine. Grapes sag from their stems in tight clusters, a bead of dew balancing eternally at the tip of one. A jug tipped slightly on a stall shows honey that is poured into a golden ribbon, caught midstream, a sweet thread that has forgotten to land. A painter sits at the corner of the square, brush lifted. His canvas holds a portrait half complete, a woman with kind eyes, her smile faint, as though she knew she would be remembered this way. The painter's hand never finished its stroke, but the bristles hover, trembling slightly with color. You wonder if, when the bell finally rings again, the paint will slide into place and the smile will be whole. You move through the lane slowly, letting the stillness unfold around you. At the fountain, water leaps high, droplets scattering into the air like crystal beads. But not one falls. Children stand at its edge with their hands raised to catch the spray. Their laughter still lingers, silent yet clear, stitched into the moment like embroidery. You can almost hear it, the soundless echo of joy suspended in time. At the far end of the village, fields open wide. Rows of wheat stand tall, bending slightly in a breeze that stopped mid-breath. Each stalk is golden, heavy with grain, heads bowed as though in eternal prayer. A scarecrow guards them, its painted smile stretched too wide, one arm lifted, frozen mid-wave. You glance up at the sky. Clouds drift there, but only just. Their edges do not shift. They hover like brushstrokes left to dry. And behind them, the pale second moon gleams faintly, as though keeping watch over the first. You pause at the edge of a forest, and the hush deepens further. The trees lean close together, their branches knitted into a roof. Inside, deer stand mid-step, ears forward, caught forever in the act of listening. A fox crouches at the edge of a burrow, its nose pointed toward a rabbit that has not yet darted away. The forest is tense, but not with danger. It is tense with waiting, like the pause before a choir sings its first note. Through it all, you feel your own breath loud and real. Each inhale stirs the air around you. Each exhale settles it again. You are the only moving thing here, the only heart beating its own rhythm. And with every step, you wonder, am I trespassing in their rest, or am I meant to be here? Did the kingdom call me after all this time to be its witness? When you return to the road, the castle towers above the valley, patient and bright beneath the silver moon. Its stone glows faintly, as though it remembers sunlight, and its windows glimmer like lanterns placed to guide a traveler home. You know that when you cross its gates, the heart of the mystery will open to you. But for now, walking through the still world, you understand what the legend meant. The kingdom did not die. It is not lost. It is simply dreaming, and you have stepped into its dream. And as you climb toward the castle gates, you realize you are dreaming too. The gates of the castle rise before you, iron teeth glinting in the moonlight. They stand half open, just wide enough for a single traveler to pass through. You pause at the threshold, and the hush deepens. It feels as though the entire valley holds its breath, watching you. Slowly you step beneath the arch, your hand grazing the cold stone as you pass inside. The courtyard greets you like a memory caught in amber. Torches hang along the walls, their flames stretched high, frozen in a moment of flicker. The shadows they cast are long and certain, as if drawn with ink. Ivy climbs the stone, each leaf glistening with dew that has never fallen. Horses stand in their stalls with heads bowed, their muscles soft, their breath suspended in the air like glass. A stable hand leans against a beam, pitchfork in hand, his eyes closed as though he simply drifted off mid-task. Chitok, you make your way toward the great doors. They are carved from oak, bound in bands of blackened iron, and engraved with the sigil of Halcyon Vale. Two moons side by side, one bright, one pale. Your fingertips trace the grooves, and the wood feels alive, humming faintly beneath your touch. With a gentle push, the doors swing inward. Inside lies the great hall. It stretches vast and echoing, with rafters like the ribs of a giant ship turned upside down. Long tables run its length, laden with platters of food. Golden apples gleam beside roasted pheasants. Honey drips endlessly from a spoon poised above a bowl, and goblets stand brimming with wine that has never spilled. Every chair is filled. Lords, ladies, servants, and scribes sit side by side, their heads bowed, their mouths curved in half smiles. It is a feast that never began, a celebration paused before the first toast. At the hall's center, a dog sleeps by the fire. Its ear is caught mid-flop, its chest still rising with a breath that has not finished. A lute rests on a chair nearby, one string quivering with a note too fine for the ear to catch. The soundless music lingers in the air like a ghost of song. And at the far end of the hall, upon the dais, sit the king and queen. They are younger than statues, older than dreams. The king's beard is touched with silver, the queen's hair braided simply, as though by her own hand. Their eyes are closed, and their hands rest almost touching on the armrest between them. Their faces are serene, not proud, not stern. They look as though they simply trusted the world enough to sleep. Behind them hangs a tapestry, vast as the wall itself. It shows the kingdom in its entirety, the river, the fields, the village square, the castle itself, and there, stitched faintly into the sky, you see it again. Two moons, one bright, one pale, the second so faint you might miss it if you weren't searching. A detail mistaken for error by some, but now in this hall of silence, you sense it is no mistake at all. It is the prophecy, woven in thread, that the kingdom would sleep until the second moon grew bright. You step closer, and as you do, you feel a pulse. Not in the ground, not in the air, in the tapestry itself. The threads hum faintly beneath your gaze, and you realize the kingdom's dream is sewn here, stitched into fabric that watches as much as it depicts. The silence deepens. You are the only moving soul in this hall, the only breath not caught mid-dream. For a moment you feel both small and vast, as though the kingdom has chosen you, not as its savior, not even as its waker, but simply as its witness. The one who will remember, even if the rest of the world forgets. You turn slowly, taking in every detail. The feast that never ended, the nobles who never finished their laughter, the fire that never burned down, the hound that never sighed, and in the center of it all, the steady, peaceful faces of a king and queen who trusted the silence enough to close their eyes. This is not a castle abandoned. It is a castle waiting. And you are the only one awake to see it. The great hall lingers behind you, but as you step into the narrower passages of the castle, the silence begins to change. It is not simply absence now, it is presence. A low hum, softer than breath, softer even than heartbeat, trickles through the stones. It is not sound exactly, but something older, the memory of sound. The castle is dreaming, and you have wandered into its thoughts. The corridor bends into shadows lit by frozen torches. The flames stretch, caught in their own light, casting shadows that seem to lean toward you. Your footsteps do not echo. Instead, the hush swallows them, tucks them away like secrets. You notice symbols painted faintly above each archway. A crescent moon, a river bend, a sheaf of wheat, a candle. Perhaps they are family sigils, or perhaps they are fragments of the kingdom's story, stitched into the stone like verses of a lullaby. A doorway stands ajar, and curiosity draws you inside. This chamber is small, lined with shelves of books. But the books do not sleep. Their pages quiver slightly, as if whispering in dreams. You lift one carefully, and its cover opens without resistance. The words do not sit still on the page. They ripple, rearrange, dance across the parchment like water. You cannot read them, not in any language you know, and yet you understand. These are the kingdom's memories. The first songs sung at the harvest festival. The tears of a boy who lost his dog and found it again the same evening. The laughter of a midwife carrying news of twins. The sigh of the queen on her balcony, watching the moons. All of it preserved, all of it humming faintly in the ink. You return the book to its place, and as your hand leaves the cover, the whispers fall silent again, obedient to the pause of the world. Further along the corridor, you find yourself in a chamber with tall stained glass windows. By daylight, they would scatter color like jewels. By moonlight, they glow faintly, as though the glass itself remembers sunlight. One window catches your attention. It shows the two moons above the valley. But unlike the tapestry, here the second moon is bright, equal to the first, both pouring silver into the sleeping kingdom. The artist's hand painted people waking with joy, fields rustling with wind, rivers bursting free. At the bottom, in a script almost too fine to see, words are etched. When the second moon shines, the silence will open, and love will breathe again. Remain. You lean closer. The letters tremble faintly, not as though fading, but as though waiting, like lips preparing to speak. In the stillness, you realize something. The kingdom is not silent by accident. It is holding its breath. It is waiting for something or someone. Not a rescuer with a sword, not a conqueror with a crown. Something gentler, a listener, a witness, a heart steady enough to carry the memory until the moons align. The hum grows deeper as you climb another stairwell. It vibrates faintly through your bones, a rhythm older than your own heartbeat. You pause at a narrow slit of a window. Outside, the pale second moon glows brighter than it did before. Still faint, still a whisper of light, but brighter. It watches you as though your presence has nudged it awake. The whisper in the stone deepens, threading through your veins like a lullaby. And in that moment, you realize the kingdom dreams not only for itself, it dreams for whoever finds it. It dreams for you. You walk on, carrying the hush like a lantern, as though time itself has chosen to trust you with its secret. The whispers guide you higher, until you reach a chamber shaped like a circle of still air. The walls are smooth stone, the ceiling a dome painted with constellations. Stars arranged not as you know them, but in patterns that seem to tell their own story. A hunter kneeling, a mother with a child, a crown resting on the ground instead of upon a head, and above all, two moons watching side by side. In the center of the chamber lies a mirror, but not a mirror of glass. Its surface ripples like silver water, though no drop ever falls. You step closer, expecting to see yourself as you are, but what stares back is not quite you. Your reflection is dressed in robes the color of twilight, embroidered with small moons that glow faintly, as though stitched from threads of starlight. Around your shoulders rests a mantle of leaves and river light, and in your hand you hold a lantern burning with a flame as pale as breath. The figure in the mirror tilts its head and smiles faintly, as if to say, "You are part of this story now." The chamber's air thickens. You hear footsteps, but not yours. From a side passage, another figure emerges. At first you think it is one of the kingdom's sleepers, risen at last, but no. Their body carries the same shimmer as the whispers in the stones. They are made of dream, of memory, of time itself given a shape. Their eyes are gentle, their face neither old nor young. They incline their head in greeting, and though no voice leaves their lips, you hear them inside your chest. You have walked where no breath should stir. You have listened where silence kept watch. You are not the first to wander here, but you are the first to stay. You try to answer, but the words do not come. Instead, the hum of the kingdom threads through your breath, weaving your thoughts into theirs. You understand without speaking. This is the stranger. Not a king, not a queen, but a guardian of the dream, the echo of everyone who laid their head down on that first night of slumber. The stranger walks beside you, and together you move to the window. Below lies the valley, the silent village, the frozen fields, the river that glimmers without flowing. Above, the pale second moon burns a little brighter. The stranger turns their gaze to you. Again, their words reach you without sound. When the second moon shines fully, the kingdom will wake, but it cannot wake to nothing. It must wake to memory, to love, to someone who remembers what it was. You realize now why you were called. Not to break the spell, not to rush the silence, but to bear witness. To carry the memory forward until the moment is right. The stranger lifts a hand. In their palm rests a fragment of silver thread. They place it in your hand, and it glows faintly against your skin. It hums with warmth, as though spun from lullabies. Take this, the stranger whispers in your bones. Carry it. Whether you leave tomorrow or never leave at all, the kingdom will dream through you. And when the moons align, your memory will be the spark that calls us back. The thread curls around your fingers, delicate but unbreakable. The stranger fades, their form dissolving into a drift of light that melts into the stones. The chamber is empty again, but the hum lingers, steady as your heartbeat. You look once more into the mirror. The reflection has changed. It is only you now, tired, curious, a traveler caught in a story. But the lantern of pale flame remains in your hand, glowing softly, as if the dream has accepted you as one of its own. You are no longer just passing through. You are part of the kingdom's slumber. Its silence carries your name. And somewhere outside, the second moon brightens by a breath. You descend from the tower slowly, the silver thread warm in your hand, the pale lantern at your side glowing like a heartbeat. The corridors hum faintly, as though the stones are aware that something has shifted. Behind you, the mirror lies still, its surface smooth and quiet, but you feel its memory walking with you. When you reach the great hall again, the silence is not the same. It is thinner now, like frost under the first touch of sunlight. The torches still hold their frozen flames, but their glow has softened, bending as though about to flicker. The feast-laden tables shimmer faintly, a bead of honey trembling at last toward a bowl. You step onto the dais. The king and queen sit as before, hands almost touching. But now as you stand near, you see their fingers shift. By no more than a breath, but enough. Their hands meet at last, their fingers intertwining as if they had been waiting for this single gesture across the centuries. The tapestry above them stirs. Threads that had lain silent for 1,000 years begin to hum. The second moon in its woven sky glows brighter until it matches the first, and at that exact moment, you feel the hum swell into a note too deep for the ear, too wide for the room. It rushes through the castle, the valley, the forest, the river, everywhere at once. And then movement. The dog by the fire exhales, a long sigh that trembles into the air. The lute string quivers into an audible note, sweet and bright. At the feast table, goblets ripple, wine settling as if just poured. A noblewoman lifts her head, blinking in wonder. A boy at her side laughs, the sound small at first, then rolling into joy. Outside, the bell that once rang a single note now strikes again. But this time it is not frozen. It swings with weight, and its voice rolls out into the valley like a tide returning. The villagers stir, the baker wipes his brow, the child at the well tugs her ribbon free and giggles. The cobbler finishes his stitch. The apothecary's bottles glow. The scarecrow watches a sparrow lift into the sky, wings beating for the first time in 1,000 years. The fields rustle with wind. The river breaks into laughter. The stars scatter like coins tossed into dark water. And in the sky above, 2 moons shine as equals, twin guardians sharing their light. The king opens his eyes, and they are not weary. The queen's lips curve into the smile the sculptor always meant for her. Their gaze falls on you, not with demand, not with command, but with gratitude, like friends waking to find you kept watch through the night. The silver thread in your hand melts into the air, dissolving into countless sparks that scatter across the hall. Each spark finds a sleeper, a villager, a field, a tree. Each spark becomes breath, warmth, waking. And yet you feel no burden leave you. Instead, you feel fuller, as though the kingdom's dream still lingers in your chest. A soft hum you will carry home. The stranger's voice flickers once more in your mind. When the second moon shines, love will breathe again. And so it has. The valley sings, the kingdom breathes, and you, weary traveler, are part of its story now. The lantern's light dims as if its purpose is complete. The moons ride steady above, their silver gaze a lullaby of their own. You close your eyes, hearing the slow, sure rhythm of a world that has remembered how to wake. And as sleep folds around you, you know, the kingdom is safe. Its silence has become song, and its story, its dream, will carry you through the night. And so, dear listener, our journey comes to rest. We have walked the silent roads of Halcyon Vale, traced our steps through its dreaming market, and stood within the castle where kings and queens slept with trust in their hearts. We have seen the second moon rise, the hum become song, and the kingdom wake after 1,000 years of love held in silence. Now you do not need to carry the lantern anymore. The flame has done its work. The silver thread has woven itself into the world again. All that remains for you is rest. As you lie there in your own quiet room, know that the kingdom is still with you. The hush of its forests, the glow of its moons, the laughter of its people, all of it lingers, like a dream that chooses not to fade. You have kept watch tonight, and in return, the story will keep you. So close your eyes, let your breath soften. Let the rhythm of the kingdom steady, slow, eternal guide you into your own slumber. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hold. Only peace, only rest. And if in your dreams you should find yourself walking once more beneath the silver light of twin moons, remember, you are always welcome there. The kingdom will know you. The kingdom will keep you safe. Good night. Sleep well, and may your dreams carry you gently until morning.